However, before I go into my broadcast for this evening, I want to say thank you to Mrs. Odessa Hopkins and the SOS platform for creating this amazing opportunity for each and every one of us to spend this time investing in you. Before I get into my presentation for the evening, I want to share a story with you of a girl that I have known personally. I've known this girl since birth. And I just want to tell you a little bit about her story. You see, this girl lost her mother when she was only 13 years old. And life was not pleasant for her. However, the principles that I am about to share with you, this girl practiced all of these principles and was able to turn her life around. Not only did her lose her mother at a tender age of 13, she did not get the opportunity to attend traditional high school. However, she pursued her education and got an opportunity to go to nursing school. And her challenges and struggles did not stop there. She became an adult, she got married, and as if she had not got enough adversities, this young girl, this young woman at the time, encountered 5 miscarriages in her life. Not only did she get 5 miscarriages, she was blessed to give birth to a son. But later on, she encountered the adversities of divorce. I am sharing this story with you before I get into my presentation of knowing and claiming your why, because as I had said a few moments ago, that these are the principles that this young woman used to turn her life around. I am not telling you something that I've heard, that I have been told. As I said, I've known this young woman personally since birth. And I am proud and excited to tell you that you are now listening to this young girl. You are in her presence. So I am honored to bring to you this evening, knowing and claiming your why, which is the story that has turned my life around. You see, each and every one of us has why and purposes in life. However, not everyone chooses to claim their why and to know their why. It is important that whatever we are doing in life, that we focus on why we are doing it and know in depth why you are so committed to what you do. We all have skills and talents. I'm having a bit of problem with my slides here. I want to have my slides moving. Okay. All right. So I'm saying we all have skills and talents. However, our calling and our purpose in life is what gets us moving. So as I have shared my story with you about growing up and some of the challenges that I have encountered, I hope you will understand the importance of not just chasing your shadows, but by understanding all of your whys. Okay, wonderful. Now we are in business. Go back one. Now, For this presentation, our main focus will be to understand how to make choices in life that are authentic and unique to you and your purpose and success. I am pointing this out because too often we are all going around doing what people tell us that we ought to do. And unless you know and claim what is authentically yours, you will not be succeeding, because it's as if you're in a maze. You're just going around doing, your mother said to do this, the neighbor says to do this, your husband or your wife says to do this, and you go about doing what everyone else wants you to do and not focusing on why you ought to do what is authentic and unique to you. Because bear in mind, there's no other you. Each and every one of us was brought in this world for a specific reason, to solve a specific problem. That's why we're here. Regardless of the vocation or the careers that we choose, it's not by accident. It is always part of our calling. And if we happen to go into a career that was not lined up with our true purpose and calling, we will never be at ease until we find that which we were called to be. Next slide, please. This presentation will help you to build courage. Each and every one of us needs to experience the courage that will help us to live that life that we deserve to be, regardless of what that be is. We need to be courageous to live that life and don't have to apologize about it. We cannot do that without courage and without fortitude. We want to discover why being empowered is of vital importance in our lives, especially for us women. I know there are men on the line too. However, I want to address the women specifically because we are nurturers. That's who we are. And because of that reason, we spend a lot of time just being a robot about what others tell us to do. And we oftentimes do not take a stand to empower ourselves and to understand why it is important to be empowered. You know something? One of the most powerful words in the universe is only two letters. And it's an N and an O. No. Not many women know to say that word. And when we do say that word, we end up feeling guilty about saying no. And that's the reason why many women are overextended, burnt out, and oftentimes depressed. So we are going to talk about why being empowered is of vital importance. Life transformation is key. Listen, all of us have been places. We have been in the gutters. We have been in the dungeons. We have been deep down in the valley. I'm not the only one. I am sure that there are many others out there who need a life transformation. I want you to look at your life. Don't keep running around and asking everybody what you think I ought to do. I want you to, at this moment, visualize a cocoon, struggling every day. And you keep watching that cocoon, and next morning you wake up, you see, not only you see a cocoon, but you see a beautiful butterfly. That is what transformation is about. Transformation is about you fighting your battles and you emerge into that powerful individual that you were created to be, without feeling guilty, regardless of what your past struggles and adversities were, you don't have to feel guilty about that. You transform your life and you go out and you make a difference in this world. How do we build resilience? That's an important point to focus on. Resilience is important. Bounce back ability is important. If you have not yet bounced back from some challenges and struggles, you have not been walking in the right path. Because let me tell you something, I'm telling you this from personal experience, that when you get knocked down, and for every time you get knocked down, you get up, you are better for that knockdown. So it is important to have strong bounce back ability. We as women live in a vital time when we got to know how to reinvent our lives. Reinvention is important. No matter what you have been through, you got to reinvent yourself more than one time. Success is not easy. The road to success is not always paved. There are some ditches. There are some bumps. There are some valleys. There are some deep curves. There are some steep hills. And that is why it is so important to understand about reinvention, reinventing our lives. Know when we get to a section in our lives where we said, no, this is not enough. And you got to feel the pain and do it anyhow. The greater the pain, the greater the success. There's a statement in the Christian community that says, there is no testimony without the test. So if you want the success, you got to be ready to do the reinvention of your life, no matter what you have been through. Now, here, I want you to read this slide. It says, my life pledge. And I encourage you to develop a pledge for yourself. A pledge that when other people hear it or read it somewhere, they can say, yeah, that's Daphne Clarke, or that is Susan, or that is Jane. And my life pledge reads, to help to create a world that functions better because people are empowered and responsible for their own destinies and leading authentic, inspired lives. I believe that inspiring, empowering, and transforming the lives of others helps them to live an authentic, purpose-driven life. Now, that is my pledge. What's yours? If you have not yet developed one, I encourage you that by the end of the 12 presentations that you will be getting on this broadcast, that you take the time to develop a life pledge or a mantra, if you may, that you live your life by. This is an important note I want to share with you. You may be inspired to become a business owner or an entrepreneur for 1,000 different reasons. However, it is important to note that entrepreneurs by nature are special people. If you are not sure, you can just choose to have a brainstorming session with an entrepreneur that you know. I decide to include this in there because there are many people who have their jobs and they got the entrepreneurial bug and they give up their 9 to 5 or 7 to 11, whatever their jobs were, to go out and venture out on entrepreneurship. Know that Entrepreneurs are special people. They are just cut from a whole different fabric. I remember some years ago, I was having a conversation with someone, and she just could not understand how her business was not moving along because she wanted to only work the same hours she worked her regular job. And she thought that the clients and the customers were going to come knocking down her door. And it was not like that. As entrepreneurs, we have to go out there and make things happen. So we got to be patient with ourselves. We have to be tolerant. And we must understand the importance of building relationships, because if we cannot build relationships, which is the lifeline of our business, don't go out there to be an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur cannot be a lone ranger. An entrepreneur cannot be a person that isolates themselves, because as entrepreneur by nature, entrepreneurs by nature, they are creators. So everybody else in their homes will be gone to bed and they're up and they're creating things. And they create things, and oftentimes they don't use everything they create. However, they pass on to other people and they share with others. So they are creators, they are inventors, they are innovate. They go out there and they innovate, and people will look on them and they say, "Oh, you are crazy. That's a crazy idea." But that's who entrepreneurs are. The crazier, the bigger. Because an entrepreneur is not only seen right now, they are seeing the big picture. They see the big picture. So when somebody's telling them that it's crazy, to them, yeah, I got to do this. I got to do this, no matter how crazy it is. And entrepreneurs, they create, they innovate with passion. They always have a desire to do the things that they're doing. And they are not at ease until they complete that. They are implementers of our time. I tell you something. 2 weeks ago, I met a little girl. She is 10 years old, and she's an entrepreneur. And this little girl, she makes flowers. Zaya's Blooms is what her business is called. So she makes these flowers. You can wear them on your lapel, on your shoulders, or in your hair. And when I asked the 10-year-old, why do you choose to do this type of a business to make these flowers? She said, because for my whole life, I've always been wearing flowers. And before it was a business, people always ask me where I get my flowers. So one day I said to my mommy, "Mommy, I want to do a business to sell flowers because people love my flowers." So that little girl implemented her business. She was wearing the flowers, so she's wearing them well. People like them. So wouldn't you say she knows her why she's making her flowers? And I had her on my TV show a couple of nights ago, and she came with a great assortment of these flowers. She had a flower that should be worn by the bride. She had another exquisite flower that was a limited edition. And she walked us through all of those. And I'm sharing that because we said that entrepreneurs are the implementers of our times. But oftentimes, the young people will throw us for a loop because they go out there and they are risk takers. They believe in their passion and their vision. And a lot of times, we as adults spend a lot of time going around seeking the approval of other people instead of stepping into our why and our true calling and our true purpose. Entrepreneurs, we don't take things for granted. We challenge the status quo, especially of the economy. You hear everybody, it doesn't matter what country you're in or what economists you're listening to. What they say the turnaround of the world's economy is going to be dependent on who? Entrepreneurs. So there's a lot that is hinging on our successes. And yes, we will make it happen. However, it calls for collaboration. It calls for commitment. It calls for devotion and connection. I cannot stay in my zip code and you cannot stay in your zip code and make this happen. If the world is depending on us to turn the economy around, we cannot be buying into mass thinking and say, oh no, it's the government who has to do this and the government has to do that. We got to convert. There needs to be more Odessa Hopkins out there that will look and say, listen, I need to create a platform for women globally to come together so we can take care of the part of the economy that is depending on us. So we have been called for a powerful task. But the one thing I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be well worth it. Entrepreneurs by nature, we have big dreams. Big dreams. I tell you, maybe about 5 years ago, I was at an event in Queens, New York. And there was a young man who came up to me. He, at the time, I think he was 9 years old. He handed me his business card. His business card was typed up on typing sheet. But he told me at the time that he was making ties. And he wanted this to be a business. At the time, he was there with his teacher. And I was very impressed by the way he had his conversation. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was determined to get it. He had a big vision. Well, what do you know? A few years later, I was watching a documentary, and guess what? That same young man was getting ready to do his very first chunk sale for Macy's department store. I wish that could have been an adult, but I tell you, children are fierceless. Children are going out there now and making amazing business decisions. And there are some parents who are fearful about them doing that. But I'm here to tell you, go ahead and encourage them, because who knows, in a couple of years, instead of you going out there and beating the pavement, you can be working with your child in their business and to help them. Another great young woman I met, she's from Maryland, and she make jewels. Jewels by Jordan. And the first time I met her, I was amazed when I heard her story. I had her on my radio show to share. Now she's an author. She has got many awards and she's speaking. The reason that has happened for her, and it can happen for you as well, is because They claim and know their why. They are not wavering. They know exactly why they are doing what they ought to do and to stay committed to that. It is also important for us to focus on our goals. And our biggest goal in life is to create a legacy. It doesn't matter what business you are in. We are in the business of creating legacies. I tell you something. I am from Jamaica, West Indies, and I went back home a couple months ago to launch a breakfast feeding program. And I was walking downtown Montego Bay on St. James's Street. And for those of you who are from Jamaica, who have been to Jamaica, you know that we have a lot of Chinese in Jamaica. Well, what you know, the same businesses that I knew as a child growing up, those businesses were still there. They were owned by the same family. The only difference is that these businesses are now run by the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren of the people that I knew. So they are creating a legacy. We can look on the Jews, and they do that as well. So we as a people needs to come together and to understand whatever business we are getting into. It's not just to make a money right now, but it is about creating a legacy. We can only create legacies when we operate in our calling, when we know why we are here. And when we know why we are here and we operate in our why, we have a tunnel vision. Nothing will derail us. Not rain, not sleet, not snow, nothing. Not hard times. Nothing will deter us because we have that burning desire to create that legacies, because we know that there are generations that are looking up to us. So this is why we go out there and we make sure that what we are doing is preparing a legacy for the next generation. And that's the reason why mentoring is so important. Don't just go about your business and want to make it big. Take somebody along with you. Mentor a young man, mentor a young woman, mentor and even an adult, because there are many adults who are out there and they're not very sure of why they're doing it. And this is your reason to say, listen, I've been going at this a long time. Let me mentor and guide you along. Knowing why we do what we do is crucial for our success. Unless we know the why before we start out, we are going to be doing a lot of extra mileage. It is important to invest in your why. There are many studies and researches that have been done that we can make that we can get access to. Do that. If the work is already done for you, there's absolutely no reason to reinvent the wheel. So go out there, do the research, and find out about what it is that you are looking to do. Educate yourself about it. Invest in your why. Get a coach, get a mentor, buy some books, do a course at the community college about entrepreneurship. And don't be afraid to ask the people who have gone before you what it was like for them. Although you're operating in your own why, you need to be educated about what it is you're going out there to do. What are the trends in the business world today? You got to keep fresh once you are going out there to serve others. It is important. You heard me mention a part of my story at the beginning of this presentation. I have a surprising statement to make to you. I want you to know that people that do business with us, they are actually buying our stories. They're not buying our qualification, they are buying our stories. So know your story and be able to tell it well. And find a section in your business to include your story. How many times you have gone to a seminar or even a webinar and you listen to it and the speaker spoke about something that happened in their lives, and before long you're stretching across to get a tissue from somebody because the tears are running down your face? And for those of you who have gone to live events and listened to somebody share their stories, how often you got up, you're the first one out of your seat to make sure you are the first one on the line at the back of the room to buy into their service or their products. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, our story is of vital importance in our business. So know your story, tell it well. There are times when you go before different audiences and there's a portion of your story that will not be relevant to that audience, but there's still a portion that you can tell them that will have the impact to get you through to them and to help them to connect with you. So if you think you don't have a story, or if you have not yet started working on your story, I hope that after tonight, you will go ahead and start working on your story, carve it. If there are portion of your stories that you forget, call up some of your family members and they are going to be sure to bring it to mind, those points that you have missed out. So put it in your journal, know it well, start telling your story to yourself in front of a mirror. And if you think you're really not getting into that deep part, that emotional part, once you tell the story to yourself, keep telling it, because you need to get to the emotional part of people so that they can connect with you and want to do business with you. You want them to say, if that can happen to Daphne and Daphne has turned her life around, the same thing can happen to me. So our stories are of vital importance in our business. Why do you do what you do? Here are my reasons that I do what I do. I'm sharing my reasons with you, and I encourage you to create your own list of reasons why you do. Ask yourself that question. Ask it as many times until you get the right answer. Here are my reasons. By helping my clients to live an honest, ethical life, they can manifest their greatness and dream bigger than they ever did before they engage my services. You know, if you speak to any of my clients, they'll tell you, I am the what and what and what coach. What else? What else? What else? Because there's always more. There's always more that is lying way down there. And we keep digging until we get to the why. And a lot of times they look and they say, oh my God, I never thought about this before now. So there's a lot of times when we cannot by ourselves get to the why. We need an extractor. We need somebody who's going to be bold and fearless to help us to dig down in deep down to find out why. If what you're doing is merely for the money, you are in the wrong business. What you're doing needs to be affecting the life of somebody else. So if the reason you're doing what you're doing is only for the paycheck, you need to rethink. Go back to the drawing board. Think about who is feeling a pain out there, the pain of a loss, pain of adversity, the pain of foreclosure, the pain of losing a loved one. What pain out there people are experiencing that you can go and help them with? I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, I know from experience that once we ease the pain, the money follows. Once we ease the pain, the money follows. However, if we are after the money, only the money, and not to make an impact on somebody's lives, then they don't want to be around you. So I encourage you to create your why. Why do you do what you do? You must ask yourself this important question. I do what I do because I believe everyone deserves to thrive, not just survive. It's our birthright. You know, our Father did not make any nobodies or any second hand. He made all of us to experience abundance. Our Father is not experiencing any lack. There is more than enough out there for each and every one of us. You know, I once heard a story about this man that died and went to heaven. And when St. Peter was giving him the tour to go around, he was showing him all these different places in heaven. And then there was one door he got to, and St. Peter passed, and he didn't want to show him in that door. And the man said, well, what's in that door? He said, trust me, you don't want to see inside that door. And the man insisted. And when he tried to open the door was so filled, it could hardly open. But he pushed his head in there and he peeked. And he said, wow, that room is so filled. And then St. Peter said to him, well, yes, that room is your room. And it has all the gifts and talents that was bestowed on you, and you never use them up. So that story stuck with me, whether it's true or not, it stuck with me. And I said, when I exit out of here, my prayer is that I exit empty. So the only way we can exit empty is when we invest and impact the lives of the greater community. You must ask this other important question. I believe love and respect for self and others is very important. And I'm saying this to say that our clients, they can see through us like a pane of glass. And you're probably saying, Daphne, what do you mean like that? Remember, I just mentioned about what we're doing and to make sure it is going to affect the lives of others. Well, if we are around our clients and we are only doing it for the money, they are going to know that, because the wrong aura is coming out and they are going to run from us. I love to tell stories. I once had a lady that we used to go to the same church, and she had switched her job I think she used to be an administrative assistant, and she switched and went into being a real estate agent. She did the exam and the course and everything. And every time I saw her, I was so excited about her new position. So I asked her how things was going for her. And she said, oh, I'm not making any money on this. And she started complaining. And immediately as she said that, the Spirit deposited in me that she was sending the wrong message to the people. And I said to her, you know, there are certain times I can't bridle my tongue, especially when something like that happens. And I said to her, you know, the reason why you're not making any money is because you are only focusing on the people's pocketbook. You're not focusing on what you can do to make the life of their family better. And she put her hand on her right hip and she said to me, who are you talking to from my office? And I was surprised. I said to her, I don't even know where your office is. I said, why would you ask me that? And she said, because that's the same thing my office manager said to me the other day. So if we are only after the money, people are going to know. But if we're honestly showing them that we are about making their lives better, then they are going to be sticking around with us. What was happening to her? She was taking people out and showing them properties, and they were ending up buying from somebody else. They were buying from the people who made them feel special, who showed them love, respect, and understanding, who want to make a difference in the lives of the people that they're serving. And that is what you need to do as well. We want to make people feel loved, special, and important in our presence and even behind their backs. You know, we talk about them in special way. Once you meet them and you're with company, you introduce them. And people feel special, and they know it's not just because they are paying you a big commission or they're giving you a big fee. They know you're thinking about their greater future. You must ask yourself this other important question. Am I vulnerable? I believe in vulnerability. Unless we can afford to be vulnerable, we honestly and truly should not be in business, because vulnerability to me is more important than price. I'll take you back to the point I brought out about your story. Once you can tell a heart-wrenching story, people are going to write you the biggest check, and your fees are going to keep going up and up and up and up. Why do you think inspirational speakers always tell their stories? Have you ever listened to Lisa Nichols tell her story? Each and every one of us, I tell you, if you have never heard Lisa tell her story, you be sure to find a way to listen and make sure you learn how to tell your stories. So vulnerability is very important. Let people know what you have been through. There's no shame in there. There's no shame about success. You got to tell people your journey, what you have been. Be open. Be like an open book. Yes, not all portion of your story belongs before every audience, but find a portion that belongs to them and tell them your story. Be vulnerable. You're going to find out that vulnerability is going to be like a magnet. It is going to attract your greater audience. And of course, that is going to be for your greater good. You must ask yourself this question: which is more important, connection or building relationship? Is it networking when you go, let me rephrase that. Is it connection and building relationship? Is that more important to your business than networking? And here is what I have observed over the years. People have been going to networking events, and I remember going back to the trifold days. You know, you remember those trifold brochures that you would staple your card on? And people's focus was to see how many of those they could hand out before they leave that event. And that's not what is going to get us the next connection. And I teach my clients, I tell them, don't be handing anybody your business card unless they ask you for it. And surprise, and I share that with you as well. No one wants your business card unless they believe in what you are doing. And why do we go to networking events? We go to networking events because we want people to learn about what we do, so that when we are absent and they meet somebody else that they're having a conversation with, and somebody has a need, they can say, oh, I met this woman, her name is so-and-so, and here is her number. She is the one you want. So once you go to an event, you want to make sure that you make that connection enough that somebody will say, oh, do you have a card? And you can in turn say, yes, I have a card. And what I do when that happens to me, I write on the back of the person's card, I grade my card A plus, and so on. And an A plus card is somebody that I really connected with. I am passionate about what they do. And I'm eager to tell somebody else about what it is that they do. So they become a part of my network that I'm always going to be connected with and talking about what they do. And the same thing I encourage you to do. So it is important to make connections, build relationships. That is vital to your business. Not everybody out there is going to be able to refer anybody to you because they're just not moving in the same niche that you need. So know that. Remember I mentioned about the word no? It's not every place you get the invitation to go, you go to. Because why are you going to go there if it is not of importance to what you are about? Okay? How do you make a difference to those you serve? Ask yourself the question, and I would encourage you that you write these questions down and you create them in a journal, and then you create your answer, and then you can develop a bullet points for yourself so you have clarity on why you do these things. And here are my ways that I make a difference to those that I serve. I do my best to lead with integrity and commitment. You know, my word is my bond. If I give you my word, you can stand by it. All right? So I make sure I lead with integrity and commitment. Number 2, I give more value than is expected of me at all times. This provides for client retention. Next slide. So even if your products or your service you think is high end, that's all right, because people don't concern themselves about the price if you're giving them good service. The next thing, I utilize a system that clients can learn and use to add value if they choose. So Not every system I personally have, but I have a library of trusted colleagues that there are sometimes I don't have that service and I have somebody that needs it. And I know without a doubt that I can recommend them to that person because the person has integrity. So provide useful resources for your client. Sometimes, most of the times, you can shorten their learning curve by knowing exactly where to point them to. And they will love and respect you for that. Provide opportunities to experience and enrich their lives. I do retreats. I do mastermind groups. There are times I'm going to conferences and I invite my VIP clients to go with me. And I expose them to other things that is going on around them. So I'm always giving more than is expected of me. Listen, define what you do. Define what you do. Remember, we're talking about knowing and claiming your why. Unless you can define what you do, you're going to end up with a lot of stress, a lot of tensions, a lot of headache. What I do, I provide your mission statement and vision statement for the world to see. Write it down, write it down, write it down. I say that now, and there's a book, one of my favorite books are, one of my favorite books in my library is Write It Down and Make It Happen. Anything you want to make happen, write it down, write it down, write it down. So regardless of the business you're in, you are in the business of solving a problem. We must identify the pain for those we serve. I kind of touched on it before. So it doesn't matter how fluffy, our business is. The bottom line is we are solving one pain or another, excuse me. So it's just for us to tap in and dig deep and find out the pain. How are we going to find out what pain we are solving? By asking questions. And what else, and what else, and what else? Know that once you start having this conversation with the people you serve, it's going to be a while before they tell you everything. So make sure you develop a skill of extracting from them until you can get the real pain. Because there are many times, 6 months in, when you think, I had hit this pain on the nail, right out of the blind side came something else that you never thought was there. So don't be afraid to ask the why question to your clients. Be authentic and unique. There's no other you. Yes, there are many people out there that appears to be doing what you are doing, but unless they clone you, there is no other you out there. So be excited, be unique about what you do. What is special about you? I oftentimes, when I meet people and I say, well, tell me about what you do, they say, oh, I'm a coach. And they finish. So I said, what kind of a coach are you? Because coaching is a buzzword that a lot of people use. And it's an overused term if you want to ask me about it. There are a lot of people out there that are saying, I am a this or I am a that. And when you ask them to be specific, they don't know what it is. So it's an overused term. So don't be hiring somebody that tells you they are a coach. Hire somebody who is a coach specifically to the pain and the situation that you're experiencing, that you are looking for a result. So that's why it is important to know and claim your why, because It shortens the learning curve. It helps you to horn into that which you are authentically called to do. And it makes it easy. It makes it stress-free, because you know what? Knowing and claiming your why allows you to get up every day with a pep in your step. You want to go out there and you want to make things happen. You want to go out there and make things happen. No matter what. The snow could be high up to the door lock. You're pushing it through and you're going out there because you know people are depending on you. When we operate in our why, it brings us joy. It brings us happiness. And above all, it's rewarding. Connect with your purpose. And once you connect with your purpose, the rest of it is going to be like a piece of cake. You get up every day, you're happy, you're excited. You want to go out there. Everybody see you and they said, oh, you're always smiling. You're always so happy. Why are you so happy? You know, everybody's going through challenging times. Everybody's being laid off. And you can say, not me. I'm doing what I love. I'm helping people to do this and I'm helping people to do that. And you have a reason to be happy and to smile because you're saying, thank God I had listened to my intuition and I followed through on my purpose and my calling. Or else, if I had not done that, I would be the one walking around with a long face and complaining. Be passionate about what you do. Your passion is going to open doors for you. And once you get in there, you're going to have the opportunity to tell your story why you are so passionate. Because although your passion is going to open the door for you, it is your story that's going to get them connected to you and you're going to be there for a long time. So demonstrate your passion. Let your light shine. Don't put a shade over your flame. Don't dampen your light. Let it shine. Be passionate. Demonstrate it. And this way, you are going to find out that it's going to just have your adrenaline pumping. Because, you know, this is why I was born to do what I'm doing. And I'm doing it. I have no regrets. You can say that with a conviction. Self-care and self-love. I want for you to adopt this motto. I want you to look on the slide. You're noticing that there's a cup and it is flowing over in the saucer. I want you to hold that visual in your mind and I want you to adopt this motto. Attend to self without being selfish. It is so important to maintain a full cup always. Give from your overflow. So, if you are giving from your full cup, that means you are not doing the right thing. I want you to visualize holding a cup on a saucer or a cup on a plate or a mug on a plate. You keep pouring the liquid in and have it keep running over. You see the amount of liquid in the plate? Make that commitment to yourself that you will only give from what is in your plate. Doing this will help you to avoid stress, burnt out, and self-neglect. Now, many of us, women, we are always doing for everybody else, and we neglect to give to us. Before we can give our best, we must be experiencing our best. So unless you have something in your saucer, you're not ready to give. Because you're not supposed to be looking deep down in your cup and still giving. You're supposed to be sipping. Your cup is always filled. So you're sipping, and it is as if you're not depleting your cup. So you always give from the overflow. So what that means, you keep investing in you. You keep learning, you keep learning, you keep learning, and you have enough to give. It's like all 12 of us that's coming on this broadcast here. We are not just coming to give you, we are putting into ourselves, because unless we put into ourselves, we don't have to give you. And that's why we are here. We know the importance of giving back, but we also know the importance of self-care and self-love. Closing notes. Always practice gratitude for all things. It does not matter how small. Every day you wake up, even before you get out of the bed, start to give gratitude. Know deep down that there's some people that went to bed last night and they never woke up. Don't take things for granted. Be grateful. There is an online community. It's a global community where you can become a subscriber. And every day you can go on that site and you can express your gratitude, what you are grateful for. I challenge you for the next 30 days. I want for you to start a gratitude journal. And for 30 days, I want you to write each day as many things as you are grateful for. And at the end of the 30 days, I want you to go back and read them over. Just freestyle writing. Like today is the 22nd. So you would write free flow, whether you write 2 or 3 pages. Just keep writing, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for. I tell you something, at the end of the 30 days, you are going to be so surprised. And you're going to notice a switch in your life. So go out there and practice that for 30 days. I want you to practice the gratitude journal. Do not be fearful to let your value be known. What are you about? What do you stand for? You know, there are some people who are setting their fees based on what somebody else tells them. Know your value, not only your monetary value. What are your morals? What do you stand for? Know it and set it. Because I tell you, if you put into place all the other whys while you're doing what you do, when it comes down to the money part of it, people don't have to tell you to give your service for pennies. They won't have to tell you how much your value is, because you will know what your value is. So know what you're about. Know your values, know your morals, and stand to that which you believe in. Read information that is pertaining to your industry. There's nobody who knows it all. Remember, this is very important, because this is part of what is going to pour into your full cup and keep your cup full, so that you don't deplete. So read, listen to DVD, do everything that you have to do so you can keep investing in you. Take care of yourself and not be selfish about it. Listen, every girl needs a little love. And listen, I'm saying every girl because the brothers know how to take care of themselves. But ladies, take some time. Go out, do a manicure, do a pedicure, get a massage, have a cup of tea with the girls. Do something for you and feel good about you. You know, you have to take care of yourself so that you can be able to give back to others. It is really not selfish to take care of yourself. You know, I remember growing up in Jamaica, I remember that this lady, she used to use her dresses when they are torn. She would then cut those up and she would make clothes for her children, you know, and very rarely she would get something new for herself. She's always giving to everybody else. Even when somebody give her some material to make something for herself, she would make clothes for the children. And there are still some women like that nowadays. They keep looking what they can do for their family members and the community and the church, and then they are not looking after themselves. Take care of yourself because it is very important. And I'm giving you permission tonight to understand that it is not selfish. It's not selfishness to take care of yourself. It is very important to give yourself some self-care and some self-love. Take care of yourself in all areas that you can. As you budget for your business, do the same for your personal development. What is on the inside of you is more important than what is on the outside. Too often, people spend thousands of dollars on the outside and the inside is being neglected. What you put on the inside of you will exude on the outside. So start from the inside out. Success begins from the inside. I'm going to say that again. Success begins from the inside. And when you build on the inside, then it's going to come out on the outside. That's how your wealth is going to be, and that's how the success is going to be. Invest in your personal development for success. Listen, take some time for you. You know, whatever it is, you don't have to overdo it. It might just be walking. It might be yoga, whatever. Find what works for you and set some time aside. It might be just 30 minutes a day for quiet time. You sit someplace and just reflect. We live in a world that is so busy, and we end up missing out on a lot of the important messages that we are receiving that has to do with our success, because we're so in such a hustle bustle. But we need to spend some time in quietness and stillness. You know, these times we can reflect on our personal development. A lot of times you're running around asking people what you ought to do. And if you would just sit quiet and reflect, the universe is going to tell you that which you need to hear. Okay, so I just want to close right here and to just say thanks again to everyone for listening. I want to thank Odessa Hopkins and all the sisters of SOS for offering me this opportunity. I prayed that you have got some tools tonight that will help you to go back to the drawing board and to understand why you are doing what you do. Claim it, own it, be bold about it, and above all, do not allow anyone to tell you that that is not what you ought to be doing. Knowing and claiming your why can be a lonely road once it starts. However, remember, develop tunnel vision, put your blinders on, stay true to that calling, and before you know it, all the people, all the naysayers that was on the sideline and saying, oh, she couldn't do it or he couldn't do it, before you know it, they are going to be right there cheering you on and saying that you can do it. I want to leave a quote with you to know that I want you to believe in yourself. Know that you were created for greatness. Do not settle for mediocrity under no circumstances, because you are created for greatness. I want you to just look on all of my social media, and I want you to connect with me on Facebook, Dynamic Daphne, Twitter, Dynamic Daphne, LinkedIn, Daphne Clarke-Hudson, Instagram, Daphne Clarke-Hudson. Visit me, Blog Talk Radio, twice a week live, blogtalkradio.com/Daphne-Clarke-Hudson. Pinterest, I'm Dynamic Daphne. And for those of you who would love to get a sample coaching, you can sign up for one at bookio.com/Dr. Daphne Clarke-Hudson. It was my honor to serve you, and at this time, I am honored to take any questions there is. Thank you so much for offering me this opportunity.